Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Jelan Agnew, a licensed clinical social worker. Jelan is joining me for March Women's History Month for our series about women making history now. And Jelan is definitely making history. I am so inspired, touched, and amazed by the work you are doing. As one professional woman of color to another, hats off to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Jelan, can you tell us a little bit about your professional titles and the work that you're doing now?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jelan Agnew. I have a private practice called Knowledge of Self, which is actually my name spelled backwards, NALEJ of Self. I've been open 5 years, full-time 4 years. I'm also an adjunct professor at Eastern Connecticut State University. I also am a real estate agent and landlord. I just, I like to be
Love it.
different things, apparently.
Mhm.
I just recently did a TED Talk about generational trauma in the Black community, and that's really where, over all of these years, where my passion has fallen is to generational trauma and bringing the nervous system into the conversation about healing and undoing some of the trauma that we've been taught kind of as traditions and values that we continue to maintain that perpetuate this constant fight or flight that Black folks and other people of color stay in. So that's where my passion has landed.
That's absolutely terrific. And that's exactly what we need, right? We needed it before the
Oh yeah.
pandemic. We needed it, from our entry point to into this country on moving forward.
Yes.
So the fact that you are doing that and that you're looking at generational trauma, putting a voice to it and helping our community to actually heal from it, I
Yes.
think that that's absolutely phenomenal. So thank you. That's terrific. And everything else is just impressive. And I
Yes.
love the fact that you are teaching and
Yes.
you're not only do you own your practice, but you also are a landlord. So
Yes.
that's just, you're just bringing up legacy and generational wealth in all sorts of ways. It's
Listen,
terrific.
and I believe that part of like I think I'm about Black liberation and the revolution, so to speak. And I think there are places for everyone in that revolution. And owning land as a Black person, land that we built, is revolutionary. So absolutely, that's
Absolutely.
part of my work. Absolutely.
Terrific, Jelan. Thank you. Absolutely. So, Jelan, how are you making history now? Let's talk more about that.
Hmm. Making history, I was saying before we got started, I was one of those people who got talks too much on my report card. And I realized maybe a couple years ago that when I speak, that people are listening. So making sure that when I do speak, I'm adding things that they may not have thought about, or translating things in a way that is more digestible and understandable, specifically for Black folks. We know that there's a stigma in our community around therapy and healing,
Mhm.
or one where we only use one thing for healing, which is religion. But really using my voice to suggest other ways that we could heal, and really helping people understand that there's a whole mind, body, spirit system. If you heal one without addressing the others, the system will never work clearly and in communication. So I'm making history by talking a lot about trauma, generational trauma, and how we can unlearn the things that keep us in this perpetual state of survival mode all the time.
Absolutely. And that's making history and it's also undoing history, right? Because it's
Oh, yes.
taking away that damage, right? Like allowing us to actually heal
Oh,
from
yeah.
that damage.
Unlearning. A lot of healing is unlearning and kind of putting back together what it is that you want to take forward with you, and kind of thanking those things, right? Because we don't disregard some of the things that we learn. We thank them and understand where they came from. And then we move forward with a different set of values that are more in alignment with health, overall health.
Absolutely. So, Jelan, what's important to you about the work that you do?
What's important to me? See, I have 1 million. Did anybody see the 1 million ideas go through my head?
I just saw
What
it. I just
did
saw
you say?
it.
What is important to me is that we understand, specifically as Black folks, that we understand that a lot of us are living in survival mode all the time. And what happens in survival mode is that you cannot thrive in survival mode. It is very difficult to heal in survival mode. And any decision you make in survival mode perpetuates that fight flight response that's happening in your body all the time. When you connect the survival mode to illness, and we look at all the illnesses in our community, it absolutely correlates. So until we can completely look at this mind, body, spirit system and realize that our trauma is the key to health, I think we're going to be stuck for a long time. So I need people to hear that the trauma, the nervous system is the key to our health.
I appreciate you putting words to this. So, because I remember growing up, right, and seeing, Black people have a high rate of high blood pressure, diabetes, mental illness, depression, PTSD, physical and mental illness, on and on and on. Everybody else is here or somewhere around here. We're like here, right?
Yep.
So that's a huge part, if not all, of what's happening.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And when we think, I mean, it goes down to a cellular level. A lot of the research, which, okay, the research is fine. This is what Indigenous people have known forever. When you get into the research, it goes to a cellular level. The trauma goes to a cellular level. So if you are traumatized and in survival mode and you procreate, you are procreating survival mode. You know what I'm like? It goes deeper than we're thinking about. And that's why the key to the health is really paying attention to how much you stay in that. Sometimes I'm walking around and my shoulders are here. I'm like, why does my back hurt? You know, we don't even realize the amount of trauma that's living in our bodies. And because we have, one of the things I talked about in my TED Talk was this whole hustle culture, right? That is a trauma response. Because we have this hustle culture mindset, this go, go, go mindset, your body's never regenerating. We have so much investment in hustle that we feel guilty about resting. I'm going to say that again. We feel guilty about resting. How many times did mom or grandma, somebody come in the house, oh, you got time to lay down? I'll give you something to do, right? So that mindset around resting, because resting is what regenerates the nervous system. So if we're not regenerating the nervous system, we're literally giving birth to trauma itself at inception. So that piece is the huge piece of healing for us. Of we are going to have to completely break all of these things down so we can really look at what it is that we're perpetuating and moving forward.
Yes, thank you, Jelan. We need to hear this. And that, I'm guilty, right? I'm guilty. I work on it. I've been working on it. But one of the other things that I've often heard is, and I've grown up hearing this from not only from my, within my family, but from a lot of people in my community, you rest when you die, right? And that should never be what the goal is, right? No rest until death. We work yourself to death. That's basically what you're saying.
Quite literally. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm so glad that you're like being so clear about this and what it means and how we need to do something different. How does your work help others? I mean, so many ways just from what we've talked about so far, right? But how does your work help others if you were to put it into words?
Well, one thing, I do still have some individual folks. And one thing that I've seen over time is people feeling better and their health improving and their mindsets changing, and therefore they're speaking to other people about it. So I think one of the ways that I help is to just show people a different reality. A lot of my content is around this idea I'm trying to perpetuate of, calmness and peace and still. I think if I can be calm and be at peace and be still be successful, right? Because I'm not saying you don't work and that's the way things happen. I am not going to work. I'm just going to create magic and be magical. But I'm not saying that in any means that we're just kind of sitting around waiting for things to happen. But what I am saying is that, peace should be a part of your schedule. And so me living peacefully, or me showing just myself, letting my nervous system calm down, I feel like could be helpful to other people of like, there's an alternative way to be. We don't have to be running and going at all times.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And my final question to you, Jelan, is how have you made a difference And I'm already thinking of all the ways you've made a difference. Your TEDx talk made a difference for me. Okay. But in your words, how have you made a difference? And this is, considering client confidentiality. And
yeah,
so you're not, all that group, individual, family, community, group of people,
yeah,
whatever way you want to share it,
yeah.
how have you made a difference?
I think I give Black people permission, specifically Black
Mm.
women, permission to have ideas and thoughts and processes outside of the norm or what was taught. I think I said yesterday in the session, I don't know why I feel like I need to say this, but I'm giving you permission to pivot in what it is that you want to do. Because sometimes we learn from childhood, even using the bathroom, we had to ask permission for autonomy over our bodies. So I think the changes that I'm making is me giving permission and allowing people to give themselves permission to do something different than what they see people around them doing. So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing of like, allowing people permission and then shifting. Like I always say, like I'll hold your hope for you until you're ready to take it. It's the same thing with the permission. I'll give it to you until you're able to give it to yourself. So I think that's the biggest impact of like giving people bodily, mind, body, spirit autonomy over who they are is the hugest thing.
And that's a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous difference and impact. So thank you for that. So, Jelan, if people want to reach you, I'm going to post your links below in the narrative portion. But just to share, what is the best way to reach you if people want to reach you?
I'm at knowledgeofself.com. So that's NALEJ of self.com. It shows you everything I'm doing. It actually also has a link to the TED Talk. And if you are looking for any workshops or trainings or public speaking, I do that as well. And check me out because I have a lot to say. And I think it's some pretty good stuff. I think the way I see things is a little different than the folks that I know that have similar titles to myself. So definitely check out my website.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jelan Agnew. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to talking with you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.